Warcraft 3.
Reforged.
Dave, how do you get people back into the RTS genre?
Well, when I think of the RTS genre, I mostly think of StarCraft. You know, it's massive armies where most of your units are fodder. I think with Warcraft 3, fewer units, but they're more important. So we give a lot more attention to the characters of each unit.
With that aspect, do you just feel like Warcraft 3's gameplay has aged better than even StarCraft at this point?
I think so, yeah.
Wait, you laugh at that. Why do you laugh at that?
Yeah. Oh, just like shots fired. Like that's an impossible question around here. Like,
yeah.
They're different games. As you pointed out, one is about kind of like this war of attrition where you need to overcome the other guy, hit his mineral line, what have you. Like there's some of that element in War 3, but like you said, each unit is precious, and in a small engagement where you surround and kill a couple of units, you can decide the outcome of the entire game on some very minor things. But
do you think that's a wider community sensation of like everybody loves the genre, but getting back into it is surprisingly difficult?
It shouldn't be surprisingly difficult. I think, a lot of the lessons we've learned over the several RTSs we've done since War 3 has really helped us hone in on, making it a easier experience for people who maybe have never played an RTS, and really to kind of like take care of the customer and say, hey, come along for the journey, take a look at this story. So that's a lot of stuff we want to make sure that we iron out with Warcraft Reforged here. The other thing these guys have touched a little bit on is how to make it a little bit more appealing to maybe a larger fan base. But this RTS is very unique compared to a lot of the other RTSs because it's so focused on a hero, right? And you got a small squad of units. And a lot of the modern games tends to focus on smaller amount of units, right? So, hopefully this game is actually coming back at a right time where maybe an audience is really matured now as far as gaming. They want to take it to the next level and take it to a strategy level and be competitive. I think we're hitting at the right spot here.
To me, you learn a lot through the campaign of like, we start you with the simpler things and your opponents grow with you and you learn what does well against the other thing. And I think from that approach, hopefully as we make this game so beautiful and, the attention these guys are putting, not just like from a design perspective into making it more accessible, but also like to look like a modern game, that people can go, fall in love with this story again. And while doing that, get comfortable with playing an RTS. And then, graduating to Melee or what have you.
It seems like when Warcraft 3 started development, it was like, hey, maybe this shouldn't be so much of an RTS. Maybe we should go more of an RPG direction with Warcraft Legends overall, and then shifted and became, okay, now let's actually make it an RTS. And now with the remaster, it's interesting because it's like, let's celebrate the RTS and go back. Do you understand how strange that is, that idea that even in the original game's development, it was, I don't know, maybe we need to shake it up and maybe it shouldn't be an RTS after all?
I can't say I could speak for the inner circles that had kind of pushed down this rail, but even early on development, we really wanted to make sure that we were different from StarCraft, right? Because we had just come off the heels of Brood War, we were looking at our next game, and we had so much expertise in RTS, so we continued to push the Warcraft IP. But we also had another game like Diablo, right? We had the RPG element, and one of the things that really bothered us as developers with the original StarCraft game and the campaign is that you have these heroic heroes like Jim Raynor, and if the unit died, you lose the mission, and it just didn't feel like a good experience. And so it was really just trying an evolution of, hey, let's not have that be a defeat condition. Let's have your hero out there, and if he dies, he could come back. And so it's always been, I would say, a relatively focus from a Warcraft 3 design perspective is to embrace that RPG element and start doing with random numbers and finding items and all that fun stuff. So I like to think we hit the right note, but now, as you said, as we come back to Reforged, we're going to continue to refine on that design philosophy there.
So I think we've touched on it a couple times, but who do you guys see as the ideal audience? It seems very much like you're making this so that it's smooth with WoW. Are you hoping to bring back a lot of the WoW players to Warcraft 3, or what audience do you guys have in mind?
I think we're going for a cross-section of people. Like, yeah, there are absolutely, I hope, millions of people who have never played this game, who have fallen in love with this universe through WoW, that if they want to come see some origin stories, like, hey, we've got them. And then there's like the fact that this does have a great competitive scene in China, and there's players from around the world who are getting into that scene, with your Foggies and your Moons and others. Like, let's bring this to a level where it looks so good that you could want to tune in and watch it as an esport. And then there's just the creative community. Like, there's things that have nothing to do with Warcraft 3 that are really compelling experiences that are being made inside of this game by the map-making community, and doing everything we can to let them extend those experiences and continue to to offer up new things that we aren't even responsible for, I think is awesome. That's the real legs behind this, is the community.
How much pride do you guys have behind this project at this point? How are you feeling about it?
Oh, I don't think there's any short of pride on this. Like, we are so passionate about making sure that a game that we love hits the notes that when we announce it, that the audience, for ones who've been wanting this to come back, to make sure that we actually hit the note for them really is where a lot of that pride comes from, and making sure that we're just get it there.
You feel like the note's going to be hit?
I always want to be optimistic and say yes, but I can never say like it's going to happen. But for me, like as I said, this was my favorite. This is the one game that I worked on that always kind of sits dear to me. So I want to be able to share that experience with people out there who want to experience origin stories from WoW, and have them come in and they walk away saying, "Oh man, I'm bummed I never played this the first time." Right? Like that'd be a great story to hear.